It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. and we're live in Philadelphia. Hello, everybody. This is Mad Dog DeCipio on America's Podcast, What's the Buzz? WTBR Radio 88.7 FM in Philadelphia. Tonight, a very interesting case. Does the Vatican have a time machine? Well, help me to walk through this minefield of merriment and mayhem. Two of the best in the business. Let me introduce you to my co-host. God help her, she keeps getting in here and I can't get rid of her. Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman. How are you, Amelia?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I understand that the baby has another tooth.
Yes, she does.
Wow. They get
Mm-hmm.
big fast. They grow fast. They
Yeah.
get out of control even faster.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You're right now that you're playing the grandma. You'll be happy when you can give her back to Jennifer one day, you know?
I probably never will
Yeah.
give her back.
Right? And Benny, the Playa Scala from the Playa Entertainment Network on YouTube TV. How are you, Big Ben?
I am very excited to be on this show. This is going to be a great topic tonight.
I'll tell you what, it's amazing how things kind of just fall into our lap sometimes without trying. I'm going to tell everybody how this show came about. And it came about, believe it or not, it came about through a wrestling conversation I had with a friend of mine. Because I'll talk wrestling, but I won't watch any anymore because I can't do it. I just cannot physically do it. It makes me ill. But I'll talk about old school wrestling all day long.
Right.
And the subject came up of what if in the past, what if so-and-so was still around? What if it was that kind of conversation?
Mm-hmm.
And then later that night, after I had forgotten about the conversation I had, I came across something of all things on Instagram talking about hidden history. And they showed a picture, which I'm going to show you tonight, called the Chronovisor. I never heard of this. I was like, what the hell is this shit all about, right? Yeah.
Right.
This is how things happen. It's like it fell into my lap. And I read up on this. Like, this is crazy shit. This has got to be like, some AI story somebody made up, right? Come to find out, nope, it's for real. It is absolutely for real. Benny, what do you know about the Chronovisor, having done a little bit of research?
I think that, I think there's a lot of merit to it, and I'm sure we're going to talk about this, but I really think it could have been possibly the greatest invention in the history of mankind, but for whatever reason, the Vatican put the kayfabe on it, and I'm sure we'll be talking about that too.
We are going at length. We are, believe me. Amelia, what do you know about the Chronovisor?
It's the first time actually I'm hearing about it and doing my research that I could do about,
right
today. It's like they wanted it hidden for some reason, and I'm curious to find out why.
Let me ask you a question. Being a healthy skeptic, and I know you are, being a healthy skeptic, what would be some of the reasons that they would put the kibosh on this?
Well, they are reluctant to close the details of why it worked and why they wanted it hidden and what they could see, basically.
Well, you said something important, which is actually something I have here written down. That they know it works. That's the thing.
Right.
They know it works. They've seen it in action. And in order to understand what I'm about to show you, let me just tell you a little bit about what we're talking about. And so those of you just joining us, by the way, I got to do this. I have to do this. We have a brand new station this is Deutschlandfunk, DLF, the premier national radio station for news, in-depth reports, political debates, and cultural German programming. They are the NPR of Germany, and I want to welcome them to What's the Buzz. We have Benny, and I don't understand it, Benny. Like, you have this thing where you're like number one in Poland. The Germans love us for
Japanese.
I mean, we should be number 1 and 2 or 1 and 1A in Italy. What's with that, right?
Right? And let me tell everybody, it's funny, about the Vatican Chronovisor. The Chronovisor is a device said to allow viewing of past and sometimes future events by reconstructing. Here's how it works. By reconstructing residual electromagnetic energy formed from the fabric of history. Those of you who know that I've written 2 books. My first book was called Psychic Fingerprints, A Life's Manifesto. My second book was called Stay Tuned, The Psychic Realm from a Theological Perspective. And both of those dealt with this, leaving fingerprints in time. Mm-hmm. And we all do. Everything we touch, every person we touch, every situation we're involved in leaves what I call a spiritual or electromagnetic psychological fingerprint, but it stays there. This is why you can meet somebody when you're a child, let's say 10, 12 years old, and 50 years later when you're in your 60s and early 70s, when you run into this person, there's a familiarity. It's because you've left that fingerprint. So it's an interesting thing too. The story is largely associated with Father Pellegrino Ernetti of Benedictine monk. The beginning rumblings, and here's where we really need to understand this. The beginning rumblings of the Chronovisor story start around 1952. And they start in a very unusual place. Okay? It's a place called Stuttgart, Germany. And that's where it begins. It's after the war, but there's a lot of residual stuff going on at this point. We're still cleaning up the war zone. We're getting everything back to peacetime and all this stuff, right? And Hitler is dead. We think he's dead anyway. That's a whole nother show. But mainstream historians and physicists regard this as what they believe to be the beginning of the Chronovisor story. Now, if you want to make the strongest possible case for the Chronovisor, the plausibility in the argument typically looks like this. It all starts with a Nazi physicist named Wernher von Braun. He was a Hitler defector, kind of forcibly defected the United States government. And this is, you can't make this stuff up, folks. The United States government wanted this guy's brain. They knew the only way to get it was to take the guy lock, stock, and barrel, flip him for the U.S. side, and he came quite willingly, Benny. He came quite willingly, especially after they stuck about $2.5 million in his pocket.
That helps.
Big money for that time, in history. Wernher von Braun was, in fact, America's first head of NASA, appointed by President Eisenhower and kept on by the late John F. Kennedy. He worked for the United States Army, and here's where the credibility of the Chronovisor comes in. He worked for the United States Army on an intermediate range ballistic missile. He also developed the ICBM, the Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. Okay, and he was the head of that program. He developed rockets that launched the United States, for all intents and purposes, into the space race. We already know, based on history, that the Russians had already started, because of their ties with the Germans at the time. They already started a space program. The United States now had the golden goose of space. His name was Wernher von Braun. And so the first satellite that was launched was called Explorer 1, then 1958, just to show you how far back this goes. Wernher von Braun, interestingly too, Amelia and Benny, worked with Walt Disney. He was one of the founders of the Walt Disney Company. Wow. As a television and production vehicle. What we know now that we did not know then is that Walt Disney was sending covert messages through the airwaves and through their films, letting certain individuals know this project is a go, this one's on hold. Some of the programs they did were hidden in films like Cinderella, Snow White, Bambi, if you can believe it, Bambi. And I'm not waking
like the most harmless films, right?
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And if you look at them, and we can do a whole, we can do a whole show just on Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Right.
But you don't even want to know how deep that goes. That the friggin' rabbit hole's this big. I mean, it's huge. You want to go down that rabbit hole? It'll go deep. Okay, so here's what happens. He starts this company with Walt Disney on a series of film which popularized the idea of human space travel. To the U.S. was now in it. We were set. We were ready to go. Wernher von Braun, he lit the match, and the rockets took off. Okay, so that's the beginning story. What I want you to know is that he came up with the idea of naming this thing the Chronovisor, and that's the name that they settled on. That was Wernher von Braun's idea. He came up with the name. I don't understand. I'm still trying to understand why Chronovisor and what significance the word chrono has. I cannot find any. So
you guys, that, Angelo, that's really a good, because I thought about that all day long. The only thing I could come up with is chronological order. That's chrono isn't chronological, so being it has to do with history. That's the only thing I could come up with.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what, Benny? Now that you say it out loud, it's probably the only thing to my sensibilities that I can reason wrapping my head around.
Right.
Because I can't find any reference to what that means historically.
Right.
It's interesting. I want everybody to kind of take a look at this little slideshow. There's no music to it. I'm going to narrate as we go. This is what they believed at the time. This is what they believed the Chronovisor to look like. It's an interesting contraption. And this, mild-mannered looking cleric, Father Pellegrino Ernetti, by all accounts, was a very kind, very bright man, generous to a fault, but he had one flaw. I will not discuss it now. We're going to discuss it in about 10 minutes when we get into the story, because you're going to hear what the flaw was. But this is Father Pellegrino Ernetti. It's the last picture taken before he passed away. Now, feast your eyes upon this very grainy photo. The photo was taken in black and white. And in the early 1990s, they tried to colorize it. They played around with some color manipulation. And for the most part, they got some hue of color in it. What I did, now that we have incredible AI technology, I fed that picture into ChatGPT, and this is what I came up with. And I want you to look at the detail on that.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I want to tell you what you're looking at. If you cannot see it, because I have everything here. You're looking at what appears to be a window. It is a glass in front of that white frame, that outline. What's inside that glass is a projection, essentially what looks like a tube. And it looks like a glass cigar tube, or like a test tube, is what it looks like. You can see the top of it, Benny and Amelia. Can you see in that glass that looks like a little round dot?
yeah, it looks like you could see something in there.
Okay,
Right, kind of right in the middle towards the left. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the tip that imagine looking at it this way. That's what you're looking at. To the left of the machine are 4 dials. They range from 0 to 5 on 2 of them and 0 to 10 on the other 2. The interesting thing is that there are 2 essentially copper tubes connecting a cylindrical device on the right-hand side that you see there with the silver dial, and connected to what appears to be, and I can only make this out, having seen the picture up close, as some sort of a timing device, like you would set like an egg timer or an oven timer. It has like a countdown on it because the numbers go in reverse. The other thing, and I don't understand what this is or where it goes to, is you'll see what appears to be either a thick wire or a tube that goes down over that metal bar looking thing. I still don't know what that is or what the purpose of it is. I've studied this picture to where I went, like my eyes started going crossy. But again, there it is. Let me just tell everybody that this is the only known clear image of Father Pellegrino Ernetti's Chronovisor. It should be noted that the name Chronovisor was given by former Nazi scientist Wernher von Braun, who served as the first head of the United States Space Agency, NASA. July 1st, 1960 to February of 1970. Other scientific notables and clergy have never, and here's the thing about this, Amelia and Benny, they've never denied the existence of it. They have been very clear that the Vatican itself has never publicly acknowledged it, but they know that it's there and they know where it's being stored. And I'm going to tell you tonight where it's being stored, because we can do it now that it's public knowledge. I can do that. Again, the Vatican itself has never publicly confirmed or denied knowledge of any time travel device or chronovisor. Well, let's just be clear about something. For all intents and purposes, it's not really a time travel device because you're not going anywhere.
Right.
It's taking you back into, think of it like, you guys know how an MRI works. It takes slices of pictures. Consider that the chronovisor, because essentially what it does is it places you in slices of time. The difference between randomly doing that and with purposeful intent is the chronovisor has a series of settings on it that will take you back. Here is what the problem will become. And as you'll see in this video presentation, and I'm going to play the entire thing in segments, and the reason I'm going to do it in segments, and there are 5 segments here, is because if I show you the entire thing, I promise you, whatever questions you have will automatically be changed to another question. So I'm going to take each segment and questions and answers, and believe me, I've got most of the questions and answers here anyway. So let us take a look at the chronovisor.
1972, a Vatican scientist released a photograph of Jesus Christ being crucified. He said he took it with a machine that sees through time. The church confiscated the device. The scientist died in silence. But before he did, he whispered 6 words to his closest friend. "Come for us. I saw things no man should see. This is not a theory. This is not folklore. This is documented history. And tonight, you're going to learn why the most powerful institution on earth wanted this machine erased from existence. The Chronovisor, the device that could end every lie ever told. Watch until the end, because the truth is more terrifying than you imagine.
Okay. You already heard and I said I perfectly timed it, almost 10 minutes too. You heard the problem. Father Pellegrino says he took a picture of Jesus being crucified. He stood by that story to the day he died, even though the picture he took was proven to be a fake. He says, again, is it plausible or plausible deniability, Benny? Here's what he says. That he took a picture, he has the picture, he gave the picture to another priest for safekeeping, and even named the priest as Father Braun. Father Braun. Okay. You're going to hear about Father Braun in this presentation as well. But he says that the picture that he had was a fake because he did not want to jeopardize the original picture, the authenticity of it. So he gave it to Father Braun for safekeeping. Father Braun, to the day of his passing, swore that he had the picture and even, in fact, showed it to at least one pope that we know of. That was Pope Benedict. Interestingly enough, he's the only pope that resigned in the history of the Catholic papacy. At this point, the truth is a matter of subjectability when it comes to the Vatican, because the Vatican, as you know, Benny, being I'm sure a former Catholic at some point in your life,
Yep.
The Vatican makes up the rules as they kind of go along a little bit. That's what they do. Which is why I'm not a Catholic anymore. I grew up I love what George Carlin used to say. I used to be Catholic, now I'm an American.
There you go.
Right? The strongest case for the Chronovisor. Okay. Information never truly disappears. The core premise behind the Chronovisor ideology is that physical events have persistent informational traces in reality. Psychic fingerprints, if you will. And I mentioned my books earlier. Supporters point to the following ideals. Number one, conservation laws. Information from time and space is fundamentally preserved and interwoven in the fabric of space-time continuum. We're going to have Dr. Derek Pitts join us in September because we are going to revisit the Chronovisor with a scientific eye, and Dr. Pitts has agreed to be here. He is also the head of the Fells Planetarium. He's the curator there at the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia, PA. If you don't know what the Franklin Institute is, if you guys are listening around the world and throughout the country, just Google it, the Franklin Institute in Philadelphia. Great place. All right, from this angle, and then I'll run this out and then we'll talk. From this angle, every sound, every movement, every electronic and electromagnetic disturbance generated by history and events in history may still, in some cases, and in fact, in most cases, we believe, be encased, and they use the word in quotes, encased in time. I'll stop there and we can talk. Benny, since you're the guest here, well, you're not really a guest. You're like old furniture. I'm going to bring up on the big camera.
He's family. He's not old furniture.
Shut up. Don't pick on Benny.
You're picking on Benny.
Lounger. That's me.
There you go. All right, Ben, your thoughts. Where is your head on this whole thing, brother?
I tell you what, when I first heard about it, I thought there's no way. But as I watched, and I read, I'm thinking like, this really, I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch, but this show that we're on now, somebody could watch it tomorrow, right? So, time can be recorded. Time can be captured. Every time we watch TV, we're watching the capture of time at some point. We can watch 80-year-old movies, 100-year-old movies. The only, to me, the stretch is, the difference, I guess, is, we have recorded these things, but I guess what Pellegrino, his assertion was that even if it hadn't been recorded at the time, you could go back and capture it.
And that's the essence of it. I love the video analogy because that's essentially what this machine is. It's an early, call it what you want to call it, but it's an early video device. But now you're literally pulling the video. Let's be honest, Benny, television. How did we used to get TV? We pulled it out of the air. It was literally when right now we are on the air. Okay, we call it on the air, but we're really not on the air. We're actually through the air. Television in the 40s and 50s and 60s, before cable, before any high def, apparatus came along, we literally pulled Superman and the Mickey Mouse Club out of the air because we had these things called rabbit ear antennas, okay? And every house in America had them. And then we got fancy. We had big antennas for the roof. And they got bigger and bigger to the point where they collapsed your roof. And then somebody bright came up with the idea of, hey, let's just string a bunch of wires and call it cable.
There you go.
Okay? How far we have come from cable.
Yeah.
Okay? How far we have come from cable. We are literally this device we are on, the computer, is an amalgamation of television, radio, open source AI, communicative, destructive, exuberant. It's all of these things that Father Pellegrino probably spent most of his life trying to develop.
And this guy wasn't a quack, Angelo, either. This guy was a very, very, he was a Benedictine monk, but he was also very gifted in physics and music and a couple of other things. And he was working with, and I know we'll get into it, he's working with von Braun. He's working with Enrico Fermi, who was a Nobel Prize winner.
Yeah.
He had an all-star team. These are very credible people.
Extraordinarily credible. One of the amazing things about it is that throughout this entire saga, the Vatican never confirmed it, nor did they deny it. Remember something. There was an expression that your lawyers use. Okay? Admission by omission. Okay?
Right.
They call it, and it's a legal term too, by the way. If you know any lawyers, ask them. It's called admission by omission. You'll admit to something without having to say, yeah, I did it. Or like a police officer will ask you, where were you on the night of blah, 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 blah? I was home. Do you have anybody that can, yeah, my wife was with me. Okay. They go ask your wife, oh, yeah, he was with me, yeah.
Yeah, you better hope she was on here in a good mood. Right.
Otherwise, that bitch is going out the fucking door.
Well, is this Pellegrino, was he autistic by chance?
Pellegrino was an artist, a musician, a physicist. He was the consummate overachiever, but he was extraordinarily humble and very, very low key. And that's what you want in a scientist. A guy that's going to keep his head down, his mouth shut, and just do his work. And he did his work. He worked under Pope Paul VI. He worked under Pope John Paul the First.
Right.
And I'm sorry, not the one before John Paul the First.
Was it Pope Pius, wasn't it?
Yes. Thank you. I couldn't think. Look, it's been a while since I've been a Catholic. I'm trying to keep up with all this shit. But here's the thing, though, and it's important that we know now, to confirm Benny's point, we know now that history can be imprinted. How do we know? Because we can see it now.
Yeah.
We can see history. There are films from as early back as 1906, 1907.
Yep.
Okay? The first known footage, and even some earlier, of motion pictures. By the way, the motion picture, I hate to break it to you, Hollywood, was not it was German. The Germans they had their fingerprints all over this stuff. The Germans were like, they were the technological gurus of the day. You know, they knew time and space. Hitler, well, you like say what you want about Hitler. Yeah, he's crazy like a fox in some regards. But Hitler was one of those guys. He had a mind for science. He was a curious guy. He believed in, life out in the cosmos. Amelia,
Yes.
I want to bring up on the big camera. Give me your take on all this. What do you mean? You saw the video.
Yeah.
You heard a little bit about that. So where are you standing on all this?
It's amazing that you could go back in time and go to any type of where you want to go see. Like, for example, like you were talking, you could go back anywhere, like the JFK assassination.
Exactly.
Exactly who shot him, like we were talking earlier off the air. And
remember, and I'm sure, Benny, you'll remember this. Because Amelia might be just a tad too young. She's just a child. There was a show on years ago called Quantum Leap.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I remember that show.
Okay, all right, good.
Yes.
Quantum Leap was a perfect vehicle for what we're talking about. Perfect vehicle. Because what we're talking about here is slipping in and out of windows of time. It's just like, anything else that creates a window of opportunity. If you don't get through it, the door will close either in front of you or behind you.
Exactly.
The problem is, and I don't know if it's a problem anymore, but having the door closed behind you may have been a big problem, because once that door closes, you got to figure out how to open it.
Yes.
Right. But I think now with our advances in technology, it's pretty much like as easy as snapping your fingers, if opening that portal to get back. And essentially, that's what it is. And I want to use that word because it's used here a couple times. The word portal. We think of portals as voids in time that randomly open up and close. Well, there's nothing random about a portal. Let me just tell people. This is one of those areas that Father Pellegrino was incredibly astute in, which was mixing the scientific and the theological, because they are, I don't care how you try to separate them, theology and science were, are, and will always be inextricably connected. You cannot interweave them. You just can't. It's like trying to take the fabric out of the Shroud of Turin. You can't do it without fucking it up. It ain't gonna happen, Here's the thing about this, and I don't purport to know everything. I just know the research that I have is pretty spot on. To Benny's point, Father Pellegrino Ernetti was not a charlatan. He was a Benedictine monk trained in physics and musicology. He was a respected academic. He was connected to high-ranking clergy and intellectuals, including 3 popes that we know of, that we have direct knowledge of. He was frequently called upon by the Holy Father, the Pope, for consultations in matters of, listen to this, Ben, in matters of faith and science. Give me, put your thinking cap on over here, which I know ain't going to be hard for you to do easy. One thing that I want you to do, two things to point out the connection that science and theology have. And what do you think a pope might most be interested in if he's going to call upon a guy like Father Pellegrino Ernetti? Where do you think he's going to go with this?
I'm not really sure. I mean, I think it's a double-edged sword if they go back and verify biblical events and history. It could turn out good for the Vatican or bad. It could be that when they see the Chronovisor, things that they see are not what was written in history. What's that expression? History was written by the victors, but
yes.
It might not be a perfectly. It's going to be a biased view. So now you're going to get the actual view, and it might not correspond with the reality, or not with the reality. The reality might not correspond to what we think the reality is. What's been written in the history books. It's
interesting you say that because Cal last week said, history is written by the winners. I went, not always. Not always, Cal. Yep. We wish you, by the way, we shout out to Cal. We wish him well. So let's take a look at this, Ben. I want to bring up this Chronovisor again. This is this part 2 of this 5-part, and we'll talk about this too.
According to Ernetti, the Chronovisor was built using a combination of cathode ray tubes, antennas made of mysterious alloys, and sensors designed to detect residual energy waves. The theory was based on a principle similar to how we receive radio signals. Just as a radio can pick up frequencies broadcast years ago if they're still traveling through space, the Chronovisor could theoretically intercept light and sound waves from the past that were still bouncing around the universe. The device had a screen, like an old television, and a series of dials that allowed the operator to select a specific time and place. Turn the dials to Rome, 33 AD, and you might witness the crucifixion of Christ. Set it to ancient Athens, and you could watch Socrates deliver his final speech. It sounds impossible, but Ernetti insisted it was real, and he claimed to have proof.
Okay. Father Ernetti's proof. I told you it was a photo that he alleged was Jesus being crucified. We know now that was a complete fake. It was a picture taken from a wooden crucifix. And the person who took the picture in some form or fashion aged it so it looked like an older relic than it actually was. Again, his reasoning for doing that is that he had the actual photo, but he couldn't trust anybody but his friend Father Bruni with it. And okay, I buy that. But at some point, Father Bruni is going to have to, make good with this picture. Somebody's going to have to see it. And sure enough, before he passed away, he did show it to several people. You will never find that photo. You'll find one that looks like it, but you'll never find the actual photo on the internet. I have seen what was shown to me as close to the original as and what it was basically is, those visions we all have of Christ on the cross. What is okay? Wasn't that the cross? Was not a T cross. It was. I'm sorry. It wasn't an up and down. It was a what's called a T cross. It had a pole. It looked like this.
Oh, okay.
It was the T cross, and they hung you by your not your palms, by your wrist. This is where they nailed you like this on this T cross. That's what they say Christ was crucified on, and the people that were with him. Okay, on this, because you will not find an early Christian picture of this of a cross,
Mhm.
okay, looking like this kind of cross. You just won't find it
Hmm.
because they weren't Christian crosses. The Christian cross looked like this, okay, and there's a reason they looked like this. They were developed as a means of torture by the Roman Emperor Tiberius, and the T was literally Tiberius. You're here
Mm.
because you offended Tiberius. Okay? There's your history. What do you make of that, Neil? That
I-
little clip we saw. What do you make of it?
That just to go back in time to see him write his speech or to give his speech, that's awesome. Because like to find out that that's where the actual words that he spoke,
Yeah.
and then also make sure that anything like that going back in time, going that far to see how they actually dressed, that would be something to.
Can I tell you something? It's funny
What?
that you say that. It's
Mhm.
funny that you say that because the one thing, because this is where my head goes, right?
Mhm.
I want to know, what do they look like?
Yeah.
What
they
are these
look
people looking like? Like,
what
what
they
are they
dress like.
wearing?
Mhm.
What's their hair looking like? What color is it? Are they Caucasian? Are they
Mhm.
black? Are they
Right.
brown skin?
Yeah.
I want to know because we know now,
Mhm.
based on research and science and the church working together, Jesus, I hate to break it to you guys out there, Jesus was not a white guy. In fact, to be honest, Jesus was more brown skinned.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
they look like in the Middle East, because that's he was from, he was from Israel.
Yeah, and
Bethlehem.
also
He was.
the
he-
bowls, the plates that they use, the
oh God,
cups,
yeah.
anything like that, just to see what they actually used would be something to think about. It's like,
I'll
really?
just give you an example. My stepdaughter,
Mhm.
my Shelby, right?
Mhm.
I call her stepdaughter. She's not my step. She's my daughter. Okay, but her biological father is Middle Eastern. He's from Lebanon.
Mhm.
Okay, when my daughter gets tan, it only takes her 5 minutes. She's black. She's
I
black.
burn.
Okay, because her skin pigment is dark.
Mhm.
Okay, and that's the kind of skin tone we're talking about with Jesus. Jesus was a brown skinned man.
Mhm.
Kind of more like olive complected, like
Right.
like Italian, European. But they don't look Mexican like you do, Amelia, because you're white as a ghost.
I'm the whitest Mexican you'll ever see. Huh?
No, I'm telling you, right? Benny, Big Ben, the player. So let's assume, for argument's sake, that this is a real thing. Father Pellegrino's story checks out. He admits to faking the picture, but he does so to protect the original.
Right.
Okay. Assume all of that occurred, and we have no reason to believe it didn't. Okay. What if you're the let's put here you go. I'll put it in wrestling terms. If you're the history booker, all right, you got the pencil. How are you writing this program out? What happens next on the card?
Well, when you think about it, though, like the machine itself, assuming it did work, I'm thinking, it would solve every murder, every crime. And let's face it, back in 1952, there was no such thing as DNA. There were no cell phones. I mean, you had to literally almost catch somebody in the act. I mean, lots of luck trying to match a fingerprint. This would solve every murder, every crime. My theory, because I've given this a lot of thought, is that the reason why I think the Vatican squashed it was because, let's face it, the Catholic Church took the teachings of Jesus Christ and they made it into something entirely different. And I think that if the Chronovisor really worked and it was, and it was allowed to play out, you would see that a lot of the beliefs of the Vatican really didn't correspond to the teachings of the Holy Bible. And I think that's the reason. And that would cost them money. And I think it always comes down to money.
Always, brother.
Always, yeah.
Always. The most compelling argument from me was that the chronovisor, especially when it comes to people saying,
Mhm.
that the chronovisor is some sort of a time machine. Okay, I dismiss that completely. In regards to it taking you somewhere. Okay.
It's not a DeLorean, right?
Right.
Exactly. With a flux capacitor.
Mhm.
But the most compelling argument is that it can detect, it can isolate, it can amplify history, and reconstruct lingering informational residue. Kind of like a forensic police officer or a forensic pathologist
Mhm.
that takes this information at the crime scene and reconstructs exactly what happened, sometimes hours, days, or months ahead,
Right.
and comes out with a very clear, concise picture of what the killer did. The universe already, we know, the universe already acts as a time machine. It acts like a time machine in this regard. If you look up at the sky, you're going to see 1,000 stars up in the sky, right? 1,000 of them. And you're going to see stars that are thousands upon hundreds of millions of light years away, but you'll see them visibly. Okay? They look like little specks in the sky. But stand next to one. You couldn't, because to get within thousands of miles of one star would kill you. Okay? It just would. Physics already permits observation of the past under certain conditions. Comets in the sky, stars, sunbursts, eclipses of the sun and moon. We don't know. We still don't know today in 2026 how or why an eclipse takes place. We don't know how long it takes for an eclipse to take place. We just don't know.
No.
In terms of our timing, a matter of hours. But remember something, and Dr. Pitts, when he comes on, is going to talk about this. Time is different for us than it is for the universe. And time is different for us than it is for God.
Right.
Okay? You got to remember something. And it's really, really important that the guys out there watching and listening, and thank you for watching and listening. We appreciate you. Supporters of the Chronovisor, and I want everybody to listen to this. Supporters of the Chronovisor, supporters say that this demeanor lacked commercial. I'm sorry, where am I at? Oh, here we go. He claimed that the device was developed within a secret international team. We know now that that's true. That's factual. Okay. At the time, it was denied by individuals working with Father Ernetti. Okay. And then there's lots and lots of plausible reasons that, again, plausible deniability. Especially if something's not been made public yet, you don't want it to, how they say, slip through the cracks, especially when you're dealing with the Vatican, because that's a big fucking crack. The argument here is sociological. Why would a serious cleric, especially one with the credentials and qualifications of Father Pellegrino Ernetti, fabricate or elaborate such a story at a substantial reputational risk? Why would he do that? Here's the answer. He wouldn't.
Right.
It's like the argument that Al Pacino makes in the film And Justice for All. Why would the judge do blah, 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 blah? And then he says, I thought about it. And why would this girl lie about this judge? And I thought about it. And I realized she's not lying. Okay? That's the thing. Admission by omission. He couldn't say what he wanted to say. He would have been an outcast in his own church. The only thing Father Ernetti ever knew how to do was be a priest. He became a priest when he was 14 years old.
Very young.
Very, very young. He was a teenager, a boy, just out of his parents' house. Yeah, it's crazy. Governments have historically classified radical technologies. We know that. A common supporting argument is precedent. Many real technologies were once considered impossible, or, here's our word, Amelia, conspiratorial. Such as, here you go, Benny, here you go. The TRB-3 triangular aircraft, the stealth bomber, cryptographic breakthroughs, surveillance systems, nuclear projects. The nuclear and atomic bomb were considered impossible. They tell that to the guy that invented the atomic bomb. What was his name? Robert, what was his name? Shit, I forget his name already. Oh, damn, I forget. I'm sorry, mister. I forgot your name. But these are the kind of things that people thought were just like fake. You know, you can't, there's certain things you just can't like do. Like, say to the public, oh, I'm working on a time machine for the Vatican. Well, yeah, that's going to go. I'm going to fly over real well. Let's look at this.
He revealed that he had used the Chronovisor to witness the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. He described the scene in chilling detail: the crown of thorns, the agony on Christ's face, the exact words spoken in Aramaic. To prove his claim, he provided a photograph. It was identical to a wooden carving of Christ created by sculptor Lorenzo Culot Valera in 1933, displayed in a church in Umbria, Italy. Ernetti's evidence was a fake. Or was it?
I'm going to let this roll. Watch.
When confronted, Ernetti had an answer. He admitted the photo was not authentic, but he claimed it was a deliberate decoy. He said the real photographs were far too sacred, far too dangerous to release to the public. He argued that if the true images were revealed, it could destabilize religion, rewrite history, and give governments terrifying power. Imagine a device that could spy on anyone at any time in history. No secret would be safe, no lie could stand. Ernetti said the Vatican ordered him to destroy the machine and never speak of it again. He obeyed. Or so he said. But here's where it gets strange. Other scientists who allegedly worked on the project never denied its existence. Some remained silent. Others hinted that the technology was real, but suppressed. One colleague, Father Francois Brun, wrote a book defending Ernetti, claiming he had seen the device himself and that it worked exactly as described. Before his death in 1994, Ernetti reportedly told Brun, "I have seen things no man should see, and I took that secret to my grave." And some believe that it still exists, hidden, waiting. After all, if you possessed a device that could see the past, would you tell the world? Or would you keep it secret, using it only in darkness where no one could see you watching?
Okay, and there lies the question. Where is the Chronovisor? Does the Vatican, does the Catholic Church have a secret time machine, and where is it? Yes, they do, and it is placed underground below the altar of the Vatican Church. It's a place they call, if you've ever been to Italy or Rome, there's a place underneath the church called the catacombs. Okay? And Benny, you know what I'm talking about? The catacombs. Yeah. They're underneath the Vatican. They're literally under the ground and deep, deep under the ground. The catacombs go on for an estimated 4 miles in any direction. It's interesting because the Vatican itself is 4 miles, 2, 2, 2, and 2. In any direction, it makes a perfect cross, and around that cross is a giant circle. It's interesting. It's the second time machine on planet Earth that's set up like that. Would you venture a guess on what the first one is? We've done 7 shows on this subject, Amelia.
See, I can't remember which one it is. Is it the? Oh my gosh, I can't even.
It's a place in France called CERN.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the evil
Okay.
one, though. That's
CERN.
the evil one.
Exactly. Exactly. Remember, we're talking about science and theology working together. Okay?
Yeah.
For good. You got to remember something, though. When you're talking about CERN, their symbol is the goddess of death.
Yes.
Sheba, the goddess of death. She dances to Satan. CERN is 3 6s interwoven.
Yep. And they just turned it on again.
They just turned it on again. Yeah.
Yep.
You want to know why things are going crazy in the world?
Because of CERN.
Yeah. Here's the thing about the Chronovisor. It's under the catacombs. It's also, and follow me again, it's circular and there's a cross. There are four columns. There's a single column that goes down, 2 columns that go out, and 1 column that goes down beyond the center. Okay. They're all connected by a central hallway or void. That hallway or void, whichever term you wish to use, is connected to the Vatican vaults, what they call the archives. There are 3 rooms in the Vatican archives that have never been opened and can only be opened by the Pope or by the order of the Pope. He's the only person on planet Earth who has the authority and the keys to open these doors. And there are 3 rooms. One's called the Room of Damnation. Nobody knows what's in there, but you could tell by the name of it just what might happen there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? There's the Room of Sorrows. Again, the name should be a giveaway. The Room of Sorrows, okay? And then there's God's Void. And that's what it's called, God's Void. Okay? What's God's Void? I don't know. Okay? I don't know. But you got to have to ask the Pope. Call him up and say, hey, Pope Leo.
What is that?
Can I borrow your keys from?
Yep.
Right? Good luck getting them. You'll be shot before you get to the place.
So they had to have gone back and seen the Shroud of Turin at least.
Let me ask you a question, Amelia. And then Benny, then jump in. Amelia, question. What do you think? Is Father Ernetti's story, from what you heard, the last 3 increments of that, is it plausible to you? Explain to me why it is and why maybe it isn't.
I would say it's plausible for them to go back, especially to be curious to see if the Bible is the way it's written, just to see if there's certain things that they should be prepared for or aware about, and to see if that's the way Jesus is, had been crucified, and also about the Shroud of Turin, to see if that is the correct one, and to make sure that it's hidden. And
well, it's interesting you say that. Boy, did you open up a Pandora's box, as you always do.
I do.
Because one of the things, Benny, that Amelia alluded to is something that I want maybe you and I can, or just maybe you actually can hypothesize on. Because one of the biggest problems that even like the most ardent supporters like myself that I can't get around are questions like, and I'll give you my thoughts behind it is, okay, the several things have to be explained. Like you just brought up one of them. How do we know it works? Have you seen it work? What is there a prototype? You know, did you make one before that didn't? And how did we know that this one does?
Mm-hmm.
You can't just like, okay, Benny, here you go. The schematics, the prototypes.
Right.
Is it reproducible? Is it demonstrative? Are
Maybe
there
made
independent witnesses? People that forget about the clergy, forget about the people that worked on. Are there independent witnesses? Let me bring everybody up on the big screen here together.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to figure out, like, you know, where do we want to go with this? There have been, we already know, and for whatever reason, I don't know, call it a gut feeling, Ben, but I believe Father Ernetti's story.
Mm-hmm.
I believe his story. I can see it's plausible. Is it a plausible story? Absolutely. Is it provable? Well, yeah. Find the Chronovisor and it's provable. See, that's a gimme on that one. But Ben, talk to me about, like, if you know that there's a fake photo of Jesus Christ that purportedly came from 33 AD, and you know now it's been proven fraudulent, does that automatically, in your mind, wipe all of Ernetti's credibility away, or is there something that I'm not seeing? Is there something I'm missing, Ben?
I mean, it's a strike against them, but it's not 3 strikes you're out. Again, the guy worked with an all-star. They're like the dream team of scientists, like the best scientists on earth worked on this thing. And Ernetti was a brilliant, brilliant man. The man, that Father Braun, who was a French priest, I think they met on a boat, and they shared a love of languages, and they became very close friends. Yep. And he showed Braun the Chronovisor. And I think initially the first thing that happened was that Ernetti was doing something with Gregorian chants, and he heard his father talking to him, and his father even used the nickname Zucchini, his childhood nickname. I just think, I mean, a man of this, you know, education and stature and credibility, why is he going to go off the deep end and make a fakakta story up? I do believe it.
Well, you know, the Gregorian chanting is symbolic, but it's also pragmatic. If you know anything about the Benedictine monks and how they pray, a big part of their prayer life is chant. The Gregorian chants are both rhythmic, they're musical, they're meditative, and they're quite spiritual. They're very, very deep. You know, you can fall into a deep sorrow during a Gregorian chant. You know, it's heavy stuff, Amelia, if you've never heard it. It's heavy, heavy stuff. So I think, you know, I agree with you. I don't discount, even though he admitted, you know, that it was a fake, but he said why, which is more than you get in a lot of cases, Ben. At least, you know, he's telling you why he faked this one, because, you know, in lieu of saving the original. Okay, I'll buy that. Plus, it's coming from a priest, and you never want to call a priest a liar, because I don't want God to smite me and send me to fucking hell for calling a priest.
I'd like to remain smite free. You know.
Yeah, me too. Smite free. The other thing, though, is in something like this, Ben. Seriously, in something like this, it's really, really difficult to find people that are not going to leak information, tell somebody on the down low, kind of, you know, here, I'm working on something, but don't tell nobody, you know, kind of like one of those deals. How do you think that they overcame that? Was it, here's a multiple for you. Was it A sense of loyalty, B, a sense of trust, or is that just the way things were?
I want to say it was a sense of fear. And I think maybe that's why he used the maybe he
Yeah.
was afraid of the repercussions, what was going to happen.
Mhm.
You know,
Interesting. I like that.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Elaborate then.
I think that, and I think there were a lot more people that knew knew a lot more. But I think the Vatican either they maybe they smited them, or they paid them off, or they did something where these people, I think there's a lot more that is known, or that was known, because most of these people are not. I mean, all these people are dead by now. I think the Vatican really put a lid on the whole thing. And I think that they feared that if the truth came out, if the Chronovisor was real and the truth came out about the Catholic Church, there might not be a Catholic Church.
Oh boy, man!
That's
Did you
Wow.
open up a can of worms? Holy shit! Boy, did you open up a can of worms, because that's where we are right now.
Hmm.
There is a tear, a literal and figurative spiritual tear in the Catholic Church right now. There are several high-profile individuals speaking loud and clear in Rome about, leaving the church and forming yet another branch of the Catholic Church. The Methodists are a branch of the Catholic Church. Okay? The Protestant Church is a branch of the Catholic Church. There was only one church, and it was the Catholic Church,
That's
the Church
right.
of England. Okay? There was only one church. Every church that we have now, every religious affiliation and denomination, springboarded off of one.
Right.
And that's where we are yet again. But I can make a defensible position for this. So, being the good lawyer I am, I'm going to ask the ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and if it please the court, Your Honor, here's my argument in pro-defense of the Chronovisor. Physics may preserve information more deeply than we understand. Observation of the past is already physically real and in many limited and unlimited forms. Advanced signal reconstruction technologies could eventually become astonishingly powerful. We already possess them. The Chronovisor legend, and I'm going to be kind and call it a legend for the sake of the show. It may be A, distorted. It may be B, mythological. It may be partly true. It may be implied or classified research, but one thing it most certainly is that no one can deny. It's forever. It's not going anywhere. It's been with us for a very long time. I seriously doubt that that's going anywhere anytime soon. In fact, I think by having this show, we may have, in some form or fashion, breathed new life into it. We know that based on shows we've done in the past, Amelia, and you can certainly attest to this, based on shows we've done, we have had some sociological impact. Our show reopened the Zodiac case. I'm very proud of that. I'm very, very proud of that. If I have my way, and I'll find out probably in July or August, probably closer to August, we may or may not be reopening the Chris Benoit investigation. We are most certainly reopening the John F. Kennedy case, because now we know that we have a clear and irrefutable, undisputable piece of film that cannot be denied. That we know now Lee Harvey Oswald was, as he said he was, a patsy. We know that's not going anywhere. That poor bastard got killed.
Well, to be honest with you,
sacrifice for the greater good.
to be honest with you, I think we ought to open up the Chris Benoit case, because I think that we need to clear Kevin Sullivan's name, because a lot of people on TikTok have been saying it, and a lot of people are talking about that. And I said, well, come watch our podcast, because we've been talking about Chris Benoit, and it's not Kevin Sullivan. It's not Kevin Sullivan. I've been telling people over and over and over and they keep saying it is. And I said, no, it's not. So I think we need to clear his name.
I do too. I am very proud of the fact that I'm one of the last 3 people that ever interviewed Kevin Sullivan. We had him on this show. And what a sweet guy. And he told a joke on the show, and I didn't realize he was that funny, but he was fucking hilarious. Did you ever hear that joke that Benny, the joke about the dog eating the $100 bill?
No.
All right, so Joe LeDuc and Kevin Sullivan are sitting around having a beer, and Joe LeDuc has his dog with him, and Kevin Sullivan, Joe LeDuc takes out this counterfeit $100 bill and gives it to Kevin Sullivan, and looks at it and goes, "Oh, it looks mighty real to me." And as he's moving it back and forth and playing with the bill, the dog snatches the bill out of his hand and chews it up and eats it. And he said that he looks at Joe LeDuc and go, "What happens now?" He goes, "I don't know. I mean, we can wait, but I don't think he's going to pass it."
Nice.
It was just about pissing the bed though. Anyway, funny. But I was one of the last people to interview Kevin. It was a great honor, and it was nice to have him here.
Yeah.
And
brilliant wrestling mind. One of the
yeah.
best.
Oh my God. He was a history buff, and I know, Benny, that you know that Kevin was a history buff, and he often compared wrestling psychology to the libraries of Alexandria in history.
Wow.
Because they held all the secrets. And that's what he argued the point vehemently, is that stop giving away our secrets.
Secrets, right? That's
Kevin was
true.
not a fan of wrestling schools. He was not a fan of wrestling schools. First of all, they're giving away our secrets. They're doing it all wrong. They're not smartening, to use the term we use, the smartening the guys up.
Right, exactly.
Because that's where you learn. You don't learn by doing holds and maneuvers. That's not where you learn to wrestle. You learn to wrestle by being smartened up here, listening to the guys on the road trips, hanging out with Jimmy Valiant for 3 hours in his car.
Right.
Or going to Boogie's camp, or going, to the School of Hard Knocks in San Diego with Rikishi and Gangrel, who's living in Florida again. That's not, the schools are not where you'll learn. Where you'll learn is in the car ride, man.
Right.
You'll learn wrestling in the car. I used to tell my guys when I ran my promotion, and I ran my promotion for 24 years, okay? And I grew up in the wrestling business. My uncle was a promoter. I called him uncle. He wasn't my biological uncle, but Phil Zacco was a part of the family. Anyway, I digress. The point I'm trying to make is everything I knew from wrestling came from people who wrestled. I never took a wrestling lesson in my life, but I'll bet you I could beat most of the guys on any roster right now because of what you remember. Something. Knowledge and power are not in muscle. They're here. This is the only muscle you need if you're in the wrestling business, right here. And you got to have a lot of heart. That's how you make it in wrestling. Benny, did you enjoy the show?
Very much. To me, this was a hidden gem. This was a sleeper, because I'll be honest, like Amelia, I had never heard of this thing.
Yeah.
Chronovisor. What the heck is that? And the minute I started watching a video about it, it's like, holy crap, this is, because I mean, everybody's interested in time travel. And even though this isn't like, what is the Time Machine, Orson Welles? It's not that. It's not Back to the Future. But I mean, this could have been, had it been able to have been developed, could have been arguably the greatest invention in the history of mankind.
It very well may be still. It's interesting. I think the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway for me is the fact that I think by serendipity or by design that CERN and the layout of the Vatican are almost identical, but they represent two stellar and polar opposite ideologies.
Yes.
CERN represents science for the negative, for the demonic, and the Vatican Chronovisor represents science and theology for the good. Now, is that to say that everyone who is in the Vatican is good? No, because the Vatican, we know, already killed 3 popes. That we know they did. We know they did, and we know who did it. It was the Jesuits. They are the Vatican's, for lack of a better term, the Vatican's hit squad.
Right.
The Jesuits do the dirty work. Did you ever see the movie called the Da Vinci Code with the Tom Hanks film?
I never saw that movie. No, but I heard it was very interesting.
It's you want to check that one out, Benny. Because
that's a good
one of the things about that movie, the Da Vinci Code, they make reference 3 times to the Chronovisor in that film. 3 times.
Oh, really?
And then, and then follow that with the sequel to the Da Vinci Code called Angels and Demons.
Yeah, those are really good.
Yeah, with Tom Hanks, and it's the same crew. It's the same cast of characters that was in the Da Vinci Code is in the Angels. The author was his name. Amelia. What was his name? Dan. Somebody.
It's a real thick book. I can't remember the name.
Yeah. What was his name?
Da Vinci Code. Let's see.
Oh, Dan Brown. Dan Brown. Dan Brown. Dan Brown wrote the Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. We had a guy on here, Benny, that I want you to meet. I'm going to introduce him to you. His name's Dan Emer. He wrote a book called The Satan Gene.
Yes, he's good.
Remember that book?
Yes.
I'm going to, do I start? Hold on. Amelia,
you should have it.
Talk to Ben.
Yeah, he still has it. And then he also wrote an exercise book as well.
What's that?
He wrote an exercise book as well.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Yeah, and it's pretty good because he'll go by like step by step, and I'm like, you think I'm gonna keep up with that one too? No, but the Da Vinci, the one that he wrote is really good, and it's.
I don't know why I never saw that movie. I mean,
it's really good.
Yeah,
it goes by the book. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Ben. This is called the Satan Gene. Okay, now the Satan gene is a machine. It's not an actual gene, but it's a machine. And the anagram Satan stands for whatever it is. I forget.
It's an
acronym.
But
anyway, this book is like, I'll tell you right now. It's 552 pages. Okay, it's like if I stand on this, I'm going to be 3 inches taller. Okay, which I may just walk around with a couple of them on my feet. But I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this book to you. You know what I'm going to do, Amelia? You know what we should do?
What?
You know that show that you and I were talking about? What I did for my summer vacation?
Yeah. Get him back on.
Cancel the second night.
Okay.
Okay.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday, I want Benny to join us.
Okay.
Do me a favor. Well,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna hit you up on the air for it because this way you'll commit to it and you can't back out.
I'll never forget. You'll forget. Get Mr. Emer back on the show.
Right. That's why I'm doing it on the air.
Dan Emer back on the show. Got it.
Yes, thank you very much. But this is here's the guy, Benny. Look at him. That's Dan Emer.
Yeah, he's very nice.
He's a good friend. He's been here about 4 or 5 times already.
Okay.
Great guy. He also writes exercise books. He's a He's a fitness trainer by
He'll be done with the
profession.
second one. I think he'll be done by the second one by the time that he'll have our second show.
And you know
Or
what?
show, I mean.
Use that angle to get him back on. You hear that, Dan? I'm talking to you. Yeah, do that. We'll get him back on. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah.
So, and I got a bunch of shows coming up for Benny. I think I'll
Yeah, the
enjoy.
next one's going to be you and Benny. Flow Wrestling.
Benny and I are already going to do a wrestling show. I think it's going to be definitely Benny and myself and Mike Murphy and Enrico Costantino.
Don't mention that man's name, Mike Murphy. I'm talking about the Glow Wrestling lady, Roxy.
Oh, Roxy. Roxy, you'll be here next week.
Yes, Monday. No, wait. Yeah, you'll be a little late, though.
Yeah, Roxy's Monday, right? Yeah.
Roxy Astor is Monday.
Yeah.
She's going to be here talking about her animal charity called Wrestling is for the Dogs and Cats. But I think I gave you this one, Ben. I think this was a show that that you might want to do about the movies, wrestling movies. Maybe you and me, or you and Nikita, or if you want me to come on there, you can come here, whatever. However you want to do it. I know Nikki's doing his book. What are you guys doing, like in sequence of chapter, or does it?
No. So we're doing, tomorrow we're doing May 19th, 1980.
I got you. Okay.
Bob Backlund and Ken Patera, Texas Death Match. Pretty much as the dates in history come around, we cover them. Like we did Superstar and Bruno at the end of April.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, yeah.
Way.
Okay, super. All right.
Yeah.
But that would be a great. There's so many great wrestling movies that's.
Oh my God! I saw one. I couldn't believe. I remember how. Oh God! It was so funny. I watched this movie the other night. It was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And I can't sleep. I'm wide awake. What do you think comes on? Body Slam with Dirk Benedict. Wait a minute. Listen to this. You're gonna love this cast, Benny. Dirk Benedict, Lou Albano, John Aston, Charles Nelson Riley, Billy Barty, Alpha, Sika, Roddy Piper, the Tonga Kid, Baron von Raschke, Bruno Sammartino, Ric Flair, Adnan El Casey, and one more. Who the fuck am I? Oh, and Big Bobby Duncombe.
Wow.
That's I remembered everybody. Literally, I remembered everybody. Yeah, it's called Body Slam. It's about this guy. He's a music producer, and he's got such a horrible reputation in the music business. Nobody wants to deal with him. They run when they see him coming. Except this one day, he ends up by accident in a wrestling promoter's office, and he overhears something. He thinks they're talking about a band, but they're talking about a championship title match with Roddy Piper and his partner, the Tonga Kid. Funny. Yeah, you'll have to see. It's called Body Slam. And I think it's on, if you have it, it's on Tubi TV.
Yeah, I think I have it.
Okay. The other thing is we will know in a couple of days whether we are going to be on Tubi TV for the 27-28 season. So, and it looks like they're offering, and I'm going to say yeah. I think I'm going to say yeah. But the only problem is I can't take anybody with me, and I don't know what kind of show they want me to do. They saw this show. Somebody from Tubi saw the show, and they liked it. I said, well, why not just do this? Well, we tried original programming, and it's hit and miss, and blah, 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 blah. It's all right. Well, whatever. You come up with something, and, I guess they like the way I am because I'm a big mouth and I talk a lot, and I interrupt people.
Too much.
Shut up, Amelia. I do. I interrupt people, but you know what?
Amelia's first name should be Frank. She tells it like it is.
Right? All right. Well, listen, Mel, what do we got coming up in the next couple of weeks?
Oh, let's see. We have, of course, that Monday, which is Memorial Day. Isn't it Memorial Day Monday?
Yes.
Yeah, it sure is.
You're going to have Roxy Astor, Glow Girl, on Monday, and then the Edge of Reality. How did we get so upside down? The next day, on let's see,
that's
26th.
one, Benny, on a Tuesday. The Edge of Reality. How did we get so upside down? How did the world get so upside down?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be kind of like no script. It's just open forum.
Right.
Just, like your thoughts on how things, turned from, wonderful in our heyday to a big pile of mushy shit now.
Yep.
Yeah, and then June 2nd on next Monday after that, we're going to have evidence of a parallel universes.
I would love to have Dr. Pitts on that one too.
And then the next one we're going to
Amelia, I hate to say this, but you might want to get your erasable pens.
on that one, right? And the next one is going to be after that is the American Scientist Missing in Action.
Wait a minute. Are you ready for this one?
Mm-hmm.
They found 4 of them together.
You're kidding me.
They found 4 scientists together, all dead. No, must have been poisoned because there were no blood, no gunshots, nothing visible. 22 right now that are missing, several confirmed dead, several suspected of being killed. But they know that there are they went from 10
remember
to
10?
22. And here's the funny thing. It's not funny. It's not haha funny. It's ironic funny, is that they were all working on the same project. And they think it's an inside job. It's not the foreign terror. They think it's somebody from the high up on the inside. So it's one of those man. Yeah, that's a show. You know about that, Benny, of these missing scientists?
No, I do not.
Yeah, there are 22 scientists missing or dead, all that were working on the same project. It was a reverse engineer project at a place called S4 in the Nevada desert. It's connected to Area 51. This is people say what they want about Area 51. Folks, it's a real place. It's called the Groom Lake Gunnery Range. Okay, it sits on lot 54. I'm sorry, lot 51 in a quadrant section of the Nevada desert. Then this particular area is military, so they're quadrant in squares. This square is called Area 51. Next to Area 52, 53, and 54. You get where I'm going with it. Okay. Then there are smaller quadrants called sections. That would be Section 1, S1, Section 2, S2. S4, Section 4 is where Bob Lazar said he worked. Bob Lazar, as you know, is the UFO whistleblower that now we know Area 51 is real because of Bob Lazar. Yeah. Why is Bob Lazar not dead? I'm going to tell you why. Because he knows where the bodies are buried. They need him alive. Area 51 needs him alive. They don't want him to be alive, but they need him to be. Because he's got presidential protection now. Oops, did I say that? Yeah, I sure the fuck did. Okay. So, listen, Benny, the door here is open anytime you want to come in, kid.
Sure.
Just ask Amelia. She'll give you the keys to the studio.
I appreciate it. This was really interesting. I really enjoyed this one.
If you got something like, you know what, when you do your true crime show, you on Mondays, because I'm trying to get Amelia to to do a show by herself. When one of these days she will, if it doesn't kill me.
You mean if I don't kill you?
She goes like this. She's like,
if I don't kill you, you mean?
Well, I'll do a show about Amelia then.
You know what we could do? Here's an invite for you. I got an invite for you. Bring your whole crew in, because I got a show that's going to this will be like the mother lode of all missing person shows. Okay. What really happened to Amelia Earhart? Because I will tell you emphatically and conclusively that she lived long past where she was supposed to have died. Here we go. You could bring your crew on. You want to talk about a real life murder mystery? Here's a real life murder mystery for you. What really happened to Terry Bollea, Hulk Hogan?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that I think he was killed. I think it was taken out. And I think the Church of Scientology in Clearwater, Florida is up to their 2-eye in it. Okay? Oops, did I say that? Yes, the fuck I did. What are you going to do about it? Nothing.
Very
like
powerful
I told you guys,
organization. Very, very powerful. And boy, do they have money.
Yeah, but I got the airwaves. And they can't buy this stuff, brother.
Nope.
They can't buy this. Anyway, you guys, for Benny, the Playas Gala, for Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I am the Mad Dog. Join us every Monday and Tuesday live on America's Podcast, What's the Buzz? As Papa DeCipio always said, tomorrow is promised to no one. So be kind today, make today count, and do something good for somebody. Take care, folks. We'll see you then. God bless.